in a context, it doesn't mean that we just study grammar, but also we study structure of grammar. It means how to build a meaning, a context in a sentence, in an English sentence, and have an idea, precise idea in our paragraph. Now, today we are going to speak about expressing obligation, prohibition, absence of obligation, and advice as parts of the language that we need when we write a paragraph. For example, let's go. Customers must check what they buy. People must not be careless. We have to buy safe products. And we do not have to buy fake brands. And finally, customers should be aware of the consequences of counterfeiting. Now, these forms of sentences here are said to express precise and definite meanings in English. Now let's go with the first one. Customers must check what they buy as an obligation. It means when you buy something, you must check what it is. So must here express what we call in English an obligation. An obligation means it's something that they must do before. They are obliged, compelled to do. So customers must, obligatory, obliged, an obligation for them. Now, when you want to express something that you are urged to, for example, for you as pupils, you must read, you must do your homework, you must work hard. Why? Because it's an obligation for you to succeed. Now, people must not. This is must, and this is must not. Must not is the negative form of must. So must not, it means being in the negative form of the obligation. Now, the negative form in English is called in English a prohibition. A prohibition. Now, what's a prohibition? It's an order, it's an obligation in the negative form. It means we use a prohibition form. We must not. You must not waste your time. You must not, for example, play games in times of exams. You must not, for example, be careless concerning your studies. We have to buy safe products. Now, have to here, in English, is said to be concerned with necessity. Necessity means a second degree of obligation. I have to be a hard worker. I have to work hard. As a second step under obligation. It means when you do something, when you have to do something, it's not like when you must do it. When you must do it, it means you have nothing to do about it. But when you have to do it, it means you have got a kind of freedom, but still it's an obligation, but at a second degree. For example, the Muslims must pray. It's an obligation. But they must not, for example, make ablutions, and we make the ablutions before each prayer. If you are ill, if you have a problem with water, you must not. It means you have to make your ablutions, but rather without water. It means you can use a piece of stone and make your ablution. So here it's have to. It's not an obligation. It's a certain degree. It's not a must. It's a second degree of must. So have to is a necessity. Means we have to drink water. It's a necessity for our life. It's not must, but have to. Then we do not have to buy fake brands. Now look, must not. Must expresses obligation. Must not expresses prohibition. Now have to expresses a necessity. It's something that you have to. For example, you have to organize your time. It's not a must, but you have to do it. Now, you must work hard, and you have to organize the time of your work, of your studies. Now, do not have to has another meaning which is rather different from have to. Now, do not have to here is in English, it's called an absence. Absence of obligation. It's an absence of obligation. It means the total opposite of obligation. It means a permission. For example, During the school days, you must bring your bags, your your books, and copy books to the class. But in the exam day, you do not have to bring your books with you and copy books. Why? Because here there is no obligation for this. It means here you do not have a permission to come to the school to the day of the exam without anything with you, just a pen and something to write on. So this is the difference between must as an obligation and do not have as a permission. It means you have got the permission to come to school without any book and copy. Customers should be aware of the consequences of counterfeiting. Now I said that counterfeiting is the way when people imitate products to get one as like a genuine, like an original one. So people should, it's not an obligation, but they should. It's rather an advice for people to be aware of this counterfeit. Now you ask me, why are we studying this? Are they part of the grammar? Yes, they are part of the grammar. You are not using them in English, the exam of English, as an exercise to do, but you need them to write a paragraph. So, for this reason, I'm insisting on you to have these notions of the language forms. So, must is an obligation, must not is a prohibition, have to is a necessity, do not have to is an absence of obligation, it means a permission, and finally should, which is an advice, a strong advice. So, for example, you should have time for your studies. It means an advice going on with a warning. Now, let's see this as a practice. Now, supply must not, have to, do not have to, and should on the following sentences and see what kind of difference you are making in the meaning. Now, first, we be aware of the effects of counterfeiting. And remember that I said counterfeiting is another example of fraud in your unit. So in the first sequence you have studied corruption, bribery, embezzlement, nepotism, remember these words? And in the second part of the unit sequence 2, read and consider, you will study counterfeiting, which is in general imitating a product to have another one. So, we be aware of the effects of counterfeiting, synonym of consequences. So, we must not, we have to, we do not have to, or we should. So, we be aware of the effects of counterfeiting. So here, let's say, we have to. Why? Because today it's a necessity. Be careful of fake products. Do not buy a product that can be a danger to you or to your family. So we have to. It's a necessity, especially today with the marketing, with a lot of products we have in the market. So we have to, necessity, to be aware of the effects of counterfeiting. Now, we believe that fake products are beneficial to people? Question mark. Now, some people say that when you buy a fake or an imitated product, it's beneficial, it's good for you because you are poor, you don't have money. So, we believe, what do we say? Must, is it an obligation to see that any fake product, a cheap and an inexpensive product? Do you see that when you buy something which is not genuine, which is not original, is something, are we obliged to think like this? So must we believe? This is an idea for a paragraph in the exam. Another one, customers, the people who buy, customers trust any product. Now when you buy something, they have got to trust, what is it? So customers must not. It's not an obligation, it's a prohibition. Be careful of any product you buy. So when someone tells you that this is a product number one, it's used by millions of people, do not trust this until you use it. So customers must not trust any product, especially when it is on TV or in the internet. So be careful. So we must not, it's a prohibition, as we must be aware that this is not beneficial to our health. The non-example is where we be careful, especially when you buy something, and especially when it's a fake product. So we should. It's an advice, but at the same time, a warning. We should be careful when you buy something. We should be careful when you use an imitated product, especially when it is something to consume. Now, a person puts his or her life in danger. So, a person doesn't, let's phrase it clearly, doesn't have to put his or her life in danger. Means be careful when you buy. So look at these sentences when we could use the must, mustn't, have, which are modals in English. So when we add these modals, you change the idea and you get great benefit from it. So this is all lesson today about some of the language forms in our context of ethics in business. Thank you very much.